Hello and welcome to another episode of Draft Gym TV. As always, you are joined by me, Andy, FPL Teach Mode. And this week we are going to be talking about my entries. Now, I'm going to be having about 10 entries, maybe 11 by the time it all kicks off. And I'm going to be talking you through 5 of my entries. Before I go any further, make sure you like and subscribe to the video. We've had lots of subscriptions recently, so thank you very much if you are somebody that's subscribed. If you are somebody that is joining us to see whether you have won one of the two free tickets to the Euro 2020 competition for FanTeam, then make sure you stay until the end, and I will make sure you know at the end who has won. There is definitely 2 winners from people that retweeted and subscribed to the channel. So I'm going to be going through 5 of my entries. I will say now, these are subject to change, obviously, because anything can happen in 24 hours. And also, I have done these drafts as a bit of a talking point. You know, these aren't definitely what I'm going to do, but it's good to talk about them, talk about the different stacks, talk about the different ways to attack things. And it's also worth saying, would I set my teams up like this if this was my only entry? No, I probably wouldn't. But I am changing things around, and I've got to try and attack from different angles with the amount of entries I'm doing. So that's why. But I thought it'd still be good to talk about it, and it gets a few discussion points going, basically. Again, like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you visit Draft Gym, who the stream is obviously for. Make sure you visit draftgym.com because we are pumping out the content at the moment. Some absolutely unbelievable stuff coming out of that website. So make sure you have a look. So, without any further ado, let's start looking at some of my drafts. And this is draft number 1. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is probably one of my favourite drafts. Yes, as soon as you're looking at it, you're looking at Eden Hazard and saying, well, he's not going to play. Didn't realise he wasn't going to play when I made this draft a few days ago. It's more than likely he won't start that first game. So I will probably downgrade Hazard and upgrade Calhanoglu and bring in someone like Carrasco for that first week potentially. Or I might even bring in a Belgian defender, somebody that I think is definitely nailed. Now, the whole idea of this draft was that I was going to target the teams that I think have the easiest groups and they are the best teams in that group. Spain and the Netherlands, I think, should easily win their group, especially if they're on it. Yes, they're very up and down, and you're not sure really who's going to turn up for them. But if they do turn up, this draft could do very, very well. I think Italy should do fine as well. They should do well defensively. This should be a team or a draft and an entry that I shouldn't really need to touch for the whole group stage. Yes, I might want to bring in a Harry Kane or a Cristiano Ronaldo, but I've got the scope to be able to do that. You know, I feel like this entry gives me scope to get pretty much whoever I want, and I just love the look of it. It looks pretty nice, doesn't it? So, in goal, Simon, I still think he's going to be number 1 starting. Pau Torres as well. Double defence for Spain. They are very, very likely to keep a lot of clean sheets in this group. So I'm sticking with that. That looks pretty good. Spinazzola and Bonucci. Double Italy defence. Going to be very, very popular in a lot of entries. Dumfries. I really like the idea of going for Dumfries over Vendel because I feel like he's not going to be picked by many. And he looked really good in the friendly the other day. So I have plugged him into 1 or 2 of my entries just as a bit of a differential. So I do quite like him. And then Insigne, Wijnaldum, Depay and Ferran Torres in the middle, I think is a pretty nice midfield, if I'm honest. They've all got beautiful fixtures to start with, and they will all keep having nice fixtures as the weeks go on as well. Wijnaldum's the only one I'm a little bit like on, if I'm honest, and this could swap around a little bit as it goes on. So it could be that I drop Wijnaldum down, put another Dutch defender in, and then maybe upgrade to somebody like Berardi if I know he's going to start, or Chiesa if I know he's going to start. So I like the idea of just keeping with these 3 teams in the middle, at the back, and in goal. So up front, we then have Lukaku and Hazard. It's such a shame that Hazard potentially won't be playing. For me, he was brilliant because I don't think he's going to be in a lot of teams, and I was really hoping he'd start and he'd be a bit of a differential as well. But I do like that double up with Lukaku. I think I might try and keep the funds so I can go back to Hazard in the second week. But even then, in match day 3, he might not potentially play if Belgium have won the first 2 games. So it might be that I look for his brother, Thorgan, and put Thorgan in midfield. It might be that I go for a Belgian defender. I don't like the idea of playing 5 at the back, but then this group and these players, I think, should be winning and keeping clean sheets. I just look at this team and think it looks strong all over. I think if everything goes as we think it's going to do, and the Netherlands, Spain, Italy and Belgium all win their groups, there's no reason why this team can't do really well. So I do really like it. We've got Turkey on the bench because they don't have a great match day 1, but then boom, they've got nice second and third fixtures. And then Pavard on the bench. I can just bring Pavard on if I want to. You know, when they play Hungary, that would be a great fixture to be able to put him in for. So I'm not going to lie, this is probably one of my favourite drafts. Yes, it needs everything to go the way we think it's going to go, which very rarely happens. But at the same time, it's really hard to look beyond this team doing well in the group stages. So I really like this draft. Probably one of my favourite drafts. We've started strong. Look at that. First draft of 5. And I'm not going to lie. I love this to bits. Like I said, Eden Hazard, though, he is the one. He's the one that would probably be downgraded. And probably going to be putting another Belgian player in somewhere else. Probably in midfield. I'll probably be looking at somebody like Thorgan Hazard, probably. Not great. Carrasco's the other one, but it would be just for 1 week. Moving on to draft number 2. Now, this draft is just showing you that you can go against what everybody else is doing. I feel like Germany are being so slept on because of their group. If they were in any other group, you'd be picking Gnabry, Goossens, Müller, even Werner, Havertz. You'd be picking those in your team without even thinking about it. They are still the Germans. You know, they will still do well in tournaments. I really like Gnabry. I think Gnabry is a great player. He does incredibly well for Germany as well. Goossens, he is just on another level at the moment in terms of left back. I feel like he is probably one of the best left backs in the world at the moment. He did incredibly well for Germany the other day in their friendly against Latvia. And I think he's somebody that you could be looking at. It's just a shame he's in this tough group. But if you look at their first 2 fixtures, yes, they've got France. And then, yes, they've got Portugal. But if they can come out of those with a goal or 2, or they could come out of it with a clean sheet, all of a sudden your Germany players aren't looking that bad in your team. And then match day 3, they play Hungary, and that is going to be a game where you want triple Germany. If they don't start well and they've only got 1 point or they've only got 2 points from their first 2 fixtures, you're looking at it thinking they're going to have to go all out against Hungary. Hungary are going to be shattered, and they're going to be up against a Germany side that needs to win and needs to, go for the jugular straight away. So all of a sudden then, Goossens, Gnabry and Müller is looking very, very tasty. Yes, this draft also does have triple England. So Pickford, Stones, because I think there is a good chance that England keep clean sheets in their group stages, and then Kane up front. I've hardly got Kane in any drafts. I think I've only got him in 2, and actually there's one of the other ones I show you later. He's in that one too. So yes, I'll pick triple England, and yes, I'll pick triple Germany. I think it just goes to show that you can go against what you think others should have you doing, if that makes sense. I've got Ricardo Rodriguez at the back there for Switzerland. I don't think he's being thought of that much, considering the fact he could be on penalties, considering the fact he takes a lot of their set pieces. I think that first fixture against Wales could have goals in it, and I think the rest of the group isn't that bad either, so I quite like him as a pick, and I just kind of plugged him in there. Depay, you will see, is in a lot of my teams. Vertonghen, I like Vertonghen a little bit more than Meunier and Castagna. I'm still not sure which one of those is going to play. Left wing back, it could be, most likely going to be Thorgan Hazard. Could he be moved up, and could Chadley play left wing back? And all of a sudden you're thinking it's just all question marks again. So Vertonghen definitely going to play. Sabitzer in the middle there's got a lovely first fixture and does look quite handy for Austria at the moment. So there's no problem, I think, if you're picking him. 5.5 million, I really like him as an option. And then that strike force. Look at that strike force. Lukaku, Kane and Müller. You can imagine them all getting a few goals this tournament, couldn't you? So I think Muller's obviously the one, but I wanted this to be a triple Germany draft, so that's why I've done it. And then Kane and Lukaku. Lukaku is in so many of my drafts. It's so hard to look past him during these group stages, and I think he's going to be so heavily owned. If you base it on the official Euros app, he's 44% owned, which is just ridiculous if you're going without him. So I think in FanTeam, if you have him, you need to be thinking about captaining him. Obviously, like I said, I went for a Germany one in this one, so I'm just seeing whether something can happen with this German side. It's just a bit of a gamble, really. Down the bottom, though, you've got 2 Ukrainians, Malinovsky and Karavayev. I think they have got lovely match day 2 and 3 fixtures, so that's why I put them in. Sommer on the bench there, just in case I want a bit of a Switzerland double up. I do like doubles, I do like triples, stacking players I still like doing in these tournaments. And then I've got Hamsik there just as a bit of a nostalgia pick, really, I would say. But you never know, Slovakia could do something, but I doubt it. So, what have we had so far then? The one I had just now was my group favourite drafts. This is my German draft, or the old enemies draft, because it's Germany against England there. And then for my next draft, now this is the draft where I have fully backed Portugal. Now this is tough for me because I'm not completely sure how Portugal are going to do so far. I've always said I've been a little bit worried about Portugal. I feel like they're being hyped up so much, and I'm wondering whether they're going to fulfill their potential. This is also a team where I think I've gone for a kind of it's coming home. You know, I've gone for Stones, Foden and Kane. This is completely thinking about the fact that England could really hit the ground running in this tournament. Do I see it coming? Probably not, because I've only got England in 2 of my drafts. But at the same time, I think Foden has the potential to set this Euros alight. He really, really does. He's such a good player, and I had to have him at least one of my teams because he is just so good on his day. So if we do hit the ground running, it's great to have a triple up. They are the team I'm fading the most just because I know how popular they'll be. But I've got to have 1 or 2 drafts with England in, because if we do well and I don't have any, it's going to feel horrific, isn't it? Not if we win it, obviously, but it still feel pretty bad. I've got the triple Spain in there, but I've actually focused on Laporte and Torres because I've got Patricio in goal. It was tough for me. I did think about putting Cancelo in and then having Simon in again, but I didn't want to have more Simon in there. So I think Patricio is going to be definitely playing in the nets. I think Diaz is definitely playing. Ronaldo is definitely playing. So it's nice to have that triple up that you know are nailed. Bale in the middle. God, I put Bale in a draft. I know I've been saying don't get Bale, but the more I looked at it, the more I thought there aren't many players out there that do have the potential to score a brace from midfield. Bale can. He really can. They're going to rely on him. And that first fixture against Switzerland isn't awful. I don't think it's as good as people are saying it is, but it's not an awful fixture. So I think Bale in the middle there. For his price as well, I think it's not a bad option. I think he can, like I said, he can haul. So why not get him in there? So he's in 1 of my drafts. And then Eriksen was in a lot of my teams. I looked through my teams. I think he was in about 90% of my teams the other day when I looked. It's just that first fixture. It's such a lovely first fixture. And I do fancy the Danes to do quite well, if I'm perfectly honest. So that's the main core of this team. I think it is that it's the only one I've gone for double England attack, which I think says a lot about me as an England fan, about what my expectations are. I love the triple Portugal. I think that's lovely against Hungary to start with. And then obviously they're playing Germany in the next game. It could get something in that. We'll see. I'm obviously not expecting all my drafts to do very well. Some of them won't do very well, but just covering all the bases means you're more than likely going to get some kind of return, really. On the bench then, though, I've got Shunin, because Russia have quite some nice fixtures for match day 2 and 3. And then I've gone for triple Sweden. I've gone for Isaac, Forsberg and Augustinsson. I really like Sweden in match day 2 and 3. I think Forsberg is a great player. I think Isaac might be rested or benched in match day 1, but then should play match day 2 and 3. And Augustinsson is absolutely fine as an option as well. Probably, he's a really good left back. He should be getting forward well. So having triple Sweden on my bench, I quite like the idea of being able to plug them in, get Bale out, get Eriksen out and put some of those Swedes in. They won't be very highly owned. So having them on my bench and being able to plug them in when I want to, I really like that option. So I have tried to do that with my benches. I've tried to just focus on one team and put them in when they've got good match day 2 and match day 3 fixtures. So yeah, sounds a bit weird, but I do quite like this team. I like the triple Portugal. I like the triple England. And I like the triple Sweden as well, which I didn't think I'd ever say before when I started doing these streams. But there you go. So triple Sweden on the bench there. Captain Kane as well, because I've got to have at least one draft with Captain Kane in. Then we move on to draft number 4. And again, you will see that I love the triple ups. And you'll also see that I've gone for a very, very, very differential captain. So I've got triple Italy in there. Donnarumma, Spinazzola and Insigne. I think the double in defence, I've talked about this before, at least one Italian defender is going to be extremely popular, especially if people only have one entry. You're going to be hard pressed to find anybody that doesn't have at least one Italian defender in their team. Gone for Dumfries again. He could very easily change to somebody else like Vendel, but I think a couple of days ago I started preferring Dumfries a little bit more, mainly because I hadn't seen him in many teams. So I think that's why I've got him in there. Alderweireld there instead of Vertonghen. And then Was, because I know what I was doing with this team. I remember what this draft is. This is the other option draft. So this is players where I wasn't seeing them in many teams, and I was thinking, well, why don't I try and put them in there? So Alderweireld is usually not the Belgium defender people pick. Dumfries is usually not the Netherlands defender people pick. Was is a little bit too expensive, and most people pick him Mela or Kjaer. So I quite like the idea of going Wasp just to see, because if variance goes on my side, this team could do well. Spinazzola, I think a lot of people have gone with for Bonucci, so Spinazzola's in there. Insigne's fine, I put him in there, but that could easily be Chiesa or Berardi because they'd be less picked. And then I've gone for Thorgan Hazard in the middle. Now, I was talking about him a little bit before. He does play left wing back, but he does have complete control of that left side, and he could still be getting goals and assists from that side. It's just that the upside is a little bit capped because of where his starting position is going to be. But hardly anybody's picking him. Yes, he's 10.5 million, but at the same time, quality's there, the team's there, the fixtures are there. You know they're going to most probably win their group. So actually, is he that bad of a pick? There's arguments for both sides, but I quite like him as a pick. I think for this team where I'm going for the different types of players, I don't mind him at all. Then I've got Frankie de Jong in midfield. This is where you start thinking, well, but, you know, all of a sudden, he might score a goal in the first game. And then he might score a goal in the second game. Lucky goals, it could be last-minute goals. But if you want to be on that right side of variance, then why not go for him? You know, you never know. And I think when you've got that many entries, why not? Why not? If it was only one entry, he would be nowhere near my team. But I have tried to go for something a little bit different in this team. Depay, like I said, is in pretty much all of my teams. Same with Eriksen. They could be slightly different. I think I just put them in because they were the right price points if I wanted to move them on afterwards. And then Lukaku still up front. And then the bench I quite like as well. Bachmann, who started creeping into all of my benches because he's a 4 million keeper that is nailed. He will 100% be playing. Zayuba, I really like Russia's fixtures in match day 2 and match day 3. So Zayuba's in there. I think he is somebody that people could be looking at from match day 2 onwards because he's a proven goal scorer for Russia. He's a bit of a bully as well, and he could do very well in match day 2 and 3. Yilmaz, who I was shocked. Actually, I haven't been seeing in a lot of my drafts now. Considering the fact he was in a lot of them to start with, he's actually going in less and less now. So Yilmaz is somebody, again, that could do very well in the group stages. And then Varane, because I always seem to have a lot of money left when it comes to that last position. It's always a defender. So I tend to be plugging French players in there because I know they're probably the best team in the tournament. So I've gone for Varane there instead of going for, I think it's because he's 6 million as opposed to 6.5 where most of the other defenders are. And moving on to our last team. Look at this little beauty. 3 triple ups. Love it. And a double up of Scotland. So we have gone all out here. I have gone all out on Italy. Spinazzola, Bonucci and Donnarumma. 3 players that should definitely play. Triple up of Italy. If they keep 2 or 3 clean sheets in the group stages, I am laughing. 18 points potentially in 2 of the 3 game weeks. Absolutely brilliant. I love that. Absolutely fine. Yes, it's risky, but why not? Why not? In a 3-game tournament, why not go for triple Italy? You could easily do that with triple Holland. You could easily do that with triple Spain. If you've got a team that you think is going to dominate the group, but you're worried about how many goals they're going to score, why not go for the triple up at the back? Literally, why not? I really like it as an option. I think if you really wanted to go for it as well, maybe ditch Bonucci and put Florenzi in there. So Florenzi, Spinazzola and Donnarumma, I think is a lovely shout. Spinazzola and Florenzi could be getting forward, getting you those assists. You don't have to worry about which one it is. Yes, Florenzi is a little bit more expensive, but for 1 million, I really like that option. Bonucci, I've just put in there because he's nailed. But as I said, I think, looking at it now, and I've kind of convinced myself a little bit, I would probably go for Florenzi in for Bonucci. I really like that as an option. I've gone for Jordi Alba, Ferran Torres and Koke in the middle there. I feel like Koke's been completely overlooked. Yes, he is a midfielder that isn't going to have the freedom to do whatever he wants in that Spanish team. But at the same time, he's playing in that Spanish team that's got a lovely group. Why can't he do well? Doubling him up with Ferran Torres, I really, really like as an option. In one of my drafts, I had Olmo and Torres, and I really like that too. But I feel like Olmo is a little less certain to definitely play, whereas Koke will be playing and Torres will be playing. So that as an option is quite good. And then Alba at the back. You're backing yourself to guess who is going to do well in these groups. And I feel like Italy will, and I feel like Spain will. So I feel like the potential to not do well is a little bit more capped than it would be. McGinn and Robertson, I know. I had to pick some Spanish players in one of my teams. So McGinn, I feel like, is a good option in that midfield. Robertson should be getting forward. I'm not expecting clean sheets from Robertson, but they could both do well in that first game. Now, because they could both do well in that first game, my bench is based on game week 2 and game week 3. So Vichalko, Forsberg and Malinowski should all have good fixtures in match day 2 and match day 3, which means I can bring them on. They can replace those Scottish lads. And to be honest, the rest of the team should be able to stay where they are. But why have I picked this draft? Why have I picked this entry to show you? Because of that strike force. Just look at it. Griezmann, Mbappe and Benzema. And captaining Mbappe as well. So I've basically got 4 strikers for France. 3 players that I know are going to play. 3 players that could put Germany to the sword. 3 players that are going to then have Hungary in the next game. It just looks so good to me. So many people are going to be scrambling to get a French player in their team next week in match day 2. I've already got them. And the thing is, if they start well and they demolish Germany, which is completely doable, they could do that. I'm on 3 of them already. You know, what happens if they beat Germany 3-4-0? Which, honestly, it could happen. Is it highly likely? No, but it could happen. And then all of a sudden, I've got Griezmann, Mbappe, Benzema. If none of them are involved in a 3 or 4-0 win, that's ridiculous. But then they play Hungary. People are going to be taking hits to get them in their team. I love that front line. That's one of my favourite front lines. Yes, it's all French, but what options they are. Griezmann on pens, Mbappe getting all the rebounds, getting all the, behind the defences. Benzema, the fulcrum up front. Love it. Absolutely love that front line. Now, that is the end of my drafts. I hope you've enjoyed them. I know I haven't gone into great detail. The reason is because they're subject to change, like I said, and they will change. Friday night, I'm going to be locking them all in for definite. The other thing is because they're just talking points. They're things that I wanted to talk to you about, things that I've been thinking about. Yes, I could have shown you all 10. I could have shown you 15 different drafts and shown you the different things that I've been thinking about. Do I think that these are the only players that are going to do well? No, there's going to be some players that nobody thought was going to do well in this tournament. But at the same time, these are the teams that I think have the best opportunity to do well. These are the teams that we're expecting to do well. So that's why I've gone for them, basically. Now, if you've stayed tuned, oh my goodness, if you have stayed tuned all the way through, then I have some announcements for you. The first one is that this is going to be our last stream now, our last video until the Euros kicks off, and then I will be with you, hopefully live next time, between the match days, so that'll be brilliant. I'll be helping you out with your teams. But we also have some free tickets to give away. So, without any further ado, the first winner of our ticket is FPL Mac. At FPL Mac, congratulations, you have won yourself a Euros ticket. And the second winner of our free Euros ticket for FanTeam is at AD Sands. At AD Sands. So guys, if you can get in touch with Draft Gym TV on Twitter, so the Draft Gym Twitter, you can get yourselves your free Euro tickets. Congratulations. Everybody else, thank you so much for listening. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we will be seeing you once the Euros have started. Oi, oi.